Right, so 4-year-old version. It's weird kind of returning to something after so long of not seeing it for so many years. And obviously, you pretty much forget most of the film. Um, I remember I liked it when I first saw it, and I still like it now, but obviously, since then, Judd Apatow has made very, very funny comedies, producer and directed some and everything. And I still think it's a funny film, but I don't think it's as funny as like Pineapple Express or Superbad, and obviously Knocked Up I liked as well. Well, that was a good film. I thought that was funny too. Um, I still think Steve Carell's great. I mean, he's always really entertaining and funny and has a presence on screen. The only quibble really is obviously that it's not quite as funny as Superbad and Pineapple Express and quite a few other Judd Apatow comedy films. But Jonah Hill pretty non-existent in the whole film. I mean, this is obviously showing that he wasn't really anything at this point, and obviously he's friends with Seth Rogen, who's in the film a lot more than he is. So obviously Seth Rogen was more the thing, quote unquote, than Jonah Hill, because Jonah Hill only has one scene and there's like a dance number at the end, and that's it. And so this film came out in 2006, right? And then obviously filmed in 2005. You know how things work. So that's what, about a year before Superbad started filming. So relatively not really known at this point. So I get what they're doing there, but it just kind of feels a little bit weird that, well, why couldn't you have a scene in there where you actually make him do something? Like it just seems so bizarre. I mean, let's be really honest and serious right now. He's a lot better than Charlene Ying, who I absolutely despise, as you know, if you follow my reviews of Charlene Ying. That I'm really not a fan at all. Just awful. And the problem with Knocked Up was actually, but the film's actually very good and I enjoyed it a lot, but that's not the problem. It's Charlene Ying who's the problem in that film. That she's just thrown into it like, oh, let's just throw her in because she's a friend. I mean, it kind of feels a bit like that, except Jonah Hill's a lot better than Charlene Ying. It's like, well, he's a friend, so let's just throw in one scene and then a little thing at the end. We're like, well, why couldn't you just do more with that? I don't really understand, but oh well. Um, Perhaps it's like Accepted again, that film where he's virtually in hardly anything of the film, even though he's got a credit on it. And obviously the other guy was in it, from Jeepers Creepers mostly. Having said that, I do think there's lots of things to like about this film. I think it's very funny. I think it is funny, but it sort of lacks that sort of it sort of lacks that whole thing that Judd Apatow films have, like that. It's like constantly funny. If you know what I mean, like it is funny, and there's some good laughs in it, and there's some bits I was really laughing at, and just so amusing, but it's just missing just something. I mean, it's not like a massive criticism, like to say that like there's nothing out of nothing in it because that isn't true. And it's more to think that if you did laugh quite a lot, and obviously it's working. And I do like that. Obviously, you got Paul Rudd in it and Seth Rogen. I don't really know who the black guy is because I don't really recognize him from any of the films that Judd Apatow's produced, directed, whatever. But having said that, this is a lot better than This Is 40 because I didn't really like that This Is 40 and Trainwreck wasn't that great. So you're kind of going down a bit, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, the problems with Trainwreck and This Is 40 was that there wasn't really any progression in terms of the character going through things. It just seemed to be all the same, and then there's like no build up, or there's not really much of a plot. I mean, okay, there is not really much of a plot in 4-year-old version, but sorry, the character goes through lots of things, which doesn't really happen in Trainwreck or This Is 40, so that's why I don't really like them that much. I don't think they're terrible films. I think that he tries to direct more now than produce, and I think it's kind of showing that it's going a bit thin, if I'm honest. Like, he directed some good ones at the start, but then it just sort of, like, now it just seems like it's just kind of gone a bit, boom. Like, not like boom, like Only God Forgives, like that was an awful film by Nicholas Winding Refn after how great Drive was. But I'm just making you think that you go from greatness to sort of like mediocrity, and it just kind of sort of a bit of punch in the chest of it, you know? And there obviously were good things about this film, but that's a different review. Um, I think that there are very good things in it. I think obviously Corral's, he's charming and he's great. I mean, he's always really funny. I mean, especially you should watch Crazy Stupid Love because he really is one of the things that makes that film work so well. I think there are lots of good things about that film, but one of those things that really stands out of the whole film. And it's a credit to him because perhaps that's why we got one of the better rom-coms of the last like few years, because you had to wait around for like 2 years for actually a good one to come along at that point, because it was mostly terrible. Oh god, it was really, really awful.